today we're going to be looking at the choice end of society. So yesterday, AMI Day 20, we looked at the experience of the first day of school, specifically for Elizabeth Eckford, and how she had a bit of a hard time. That's an understatement. Uh, so for this lesson, we're going to examine the choices made by two leaders in the days immediately before and after school opened in 1957 in Little Rock. So those leaders are Arkansas Governor Orville E. Faubus and the President Dwight D. Eisenhower. So today I want you to pay really careful attention to the way each leader defined the crisis in Little Rock, the powers and responsibilities of each according to the Constitution, the individuals, groups, and ideas that shape these leaders' decisions, and the consequences of those choices. Okay? So, for 17 days, the Arkansas National Guard kept the Little Rock Nine from entering Central High. During that period, a number of people tried to resolve the crisis. Both those who favored integration and those who opposed it saw the crisis as a constitutional issue, a question of federalism. Does a governor or any other state official have the right to disobey a decision issued by the U.S. Supreme Court? In a federal system, some rights belong to both the nation and the states. Others belong only to the nation or only to the states. The line between the nation's powers and those that belong solely to the states is not always clear cut. Those who argue in favor of a strong central government often point to Article 6 of the Constitution. It states that the Constitution, federal laws, and treaties approved by the Senate are supreme. That is, they are the highest law of the land. It also states that members of all three branches of government, at both the state and national level, are required to support the U.S. Constitution. Those who favor states' rights often focus on the 10th Amendment to the Constitution, which says that all powers not given to the federal government or specifically denied to the states belong to the states. On September 14th, President Eisenhower and Governor Faubus met in Newport, Rhode Island, to privately work out their differences. At that meeting, the president reminded the governors of his responsibilities under the Constitution. Eisenhower did not want Faubus to remove the troops. He wanted the governor to use the National Guard to protect the 9 students so that integration could proceed as planned. While the two men were talking, lawyers for the NAACP were in court on behalf of the 9 African American students. The lawyers argued that the governor was interfering with the students' rights to attend school. If he felt that they were in danger, as he indicated in his speech, his obligation under the law was to protect them rather than side with the mob. On Friday, September 20th, federal judge Ronald Davies ordered Faubus to stop blocking integration. To President Eisenhower's disgust, Faubus responded by withdrawing the National Guard. The Little Rock Nine were left defenseless. The following Monday, about 100 local police officers placed wooden barricades around Central High as more than 1,000 angry white men and women from Arkansas and surrounding states gathered in front of the building. To avoid the crowd, the African American students entered the building through a side door. When word got out that the students were in the building, the crowd went on a rampage, attacking journalists, breaking windows, smashing doors, and nearly lynching the Little Rock Nine. The police had to smuggle the African American students out of the building for their own safety. Early the next morning, Woodrow W. Mann, the mayor of Little Rock, sent a telegraph to President Eisenhower asking for federal help in keeping the peace. That evening, President Eisenhower addressed the nation on television and radio. He told Americans, "The very basis of our individual rights and freedoms rests upon the certainty that the President and the executive branch of government will support and ensure the carrying out of the decisions of the federal courts, even when necessary, with all the means at the President's command." He added, "Mob rule cannot be allowed to override the decisions of our courts." He then ordered the 101st Airborne Division to Little Rock. The next day, September 25th, U.S. soldiers escorted the Little Rock Nine to school. This time, Melva Patillo, one of the Little Rock Nine, recalls, "I went in not through the side doors, but up the front stairs, and there was a feeling of pride and hope that yes, this is the United States. Yes, there is a reason I salute the flag, and it's going to be okay." So today you're going to look at some documentary clips. The film is titled Eyes on the Prize. The whole thing is about an hour long. If you have that kind of time and want to watch it, I'll recommend it to you. but in total, we're responsible for watching 12 minutes. And I want you to consider the sort of pressures that are being placed both on President Eisenhower and on Governor Faubus and how they choose to respond to those pressures. You're also going to be tasked with trying to identify where these men fall on a spectrum. So, whether you think they're more on the side of integration or more on the side of segregation, and keep in mind that people's opinions and understandings of things can change over time, especially as tense situations develop. So, where you place them early on in the situation might be a little different than where you place them at a later date. Okay, we're also going to be looking at public opinion and how it influences their decisions, and we'll close with an exchange between the Little Rock Nine's parents and President Eisenhower. So I hope this video finds you well, and I'll see you next week.